You're listening to Get Tilted, only on Fantasy Now Plus.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Get Tilted podcast, where we'll be breaking down DraftKings' main slate for the NFL Week 2. Shaun has taken a day off, so will be me, Brian Rockwood, as your host today. And with me is fellow DFS Dynasty DGen, Tim Holstad. Tim, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Ready for week 2.
Yeah, we were just talking right before this. We had some bumps and bruises in Week 1, as it's always a little bit chaotic, but excited to finally have a full picture of the NFL and get right back into it.
Yep.
Now, before we dive in, I want to make sure that everyone here listening hits that subscribe button and just know that you can always find us on the Fantasy Now Plus and the Fins Talk Sports Network. Sub everywhere you can. We have 8 total shows weekly to help you with your fantasy football needs and written content weekly. Uh, Tim, is there anywhere else that we can find stuff? Do you think that miss everything?
You can also find us in our Discord channel. You can find that link in the description of the show. Very active in there. Have lots of good channels and start sit questions that we're happy to answer, and lots of folks that love to talk ball. And then me personally, I am also on Blue Sky at Tim Holstad at fantasyplusnow.com on Blue Sky.
That's the tough thing about Blue Skies, the long, long tags, huh?
Yeah. I'm just like, it's something in there.
I think it's a website. Who's to say?
Yeah.
But no, the Discord's awesome. If you haven't already joined it, please do. We are very active. Everyone's always chatting, like Tim said, and we're always around to answer your questions. I'm probably online too much. I should probably be doing some more research, but it's fun. It's fun to just talk fantasy football throughout the day. So yeah, hop in the Discord. We're always around, and it's honestly pretty invaluable, especially during the regular season. So check that out in the description below. Alrighty, without further ado, let's get the show on the road. Today, I have a little quick question, a little accountability question. Tim, what was your best play in your lineup this past week, and what was your worst play?
Well, best play. I would honestly say Tyler Warren. He got basically everything we could hope for from a rookie tight end in his first game. He had a good target share, good route participation. He seemed to kind of be one of the favorite targets of Daniel Jones. And he looked, at least so far, like the prince that was promised. So I was happy to have played him when a lot of other folks were going one of the big three or going super cheap. And kind of pretty concurrently, I would say my worst pick was Josh Downs. He basically got replaced by Tyler Warren. All that underneath routes, all that slot routes. I mean, could it have been he's coming back from injury? Sure. We'll need more games under our belt to kind of make that determination. But for 1 week, he was definitely not the go-to underneath anymore. That was fully Tyler Warren. Downs basically never plays outside, so it did not go well.
It's tough. It's tough when, just like we're saying, right before we're recording, we're only making guesses, right? As soon as we get into the real season, we think, hey, Josh Downs, he's looking like previously he looked like kind of the number one on the team, right? He looked awesome. Maybe his little injury in the preseason was more of a factor than we thought. And I couldn't agree more. Tyler Warren looks legit. He looks like the dude.
Yeah.
Um, I think my worst play was Brian Thomas Jr. and it was pretty heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Uh, just one of those games where you thought Panthers were soft, and he decided to just take a break, and they didn't even need him. So
Yeah.
the other heartbreaking one was George Kittle. He started off hot, left the game, and now he's on IR. So it was going to be the best play, but
Yeah.
the ultimate one, Emeka Ibuka, just smashed.
Yeah. I mean, Kittle had, 4 targets on the first drive with the touchdown? Like, he was going to break the slate, I think, if he stayed healthy.
What could have been,
Yep.
but that's all in the past because now we get to head to week 2, semi-full information of what's going on, and we have a whole slate to dive in. So you ready? Ready for the juggernaut?
I'm ready.
All right. And just as a reminder, we're not going to be covering the primetime games. So that means we're not going to talk about the Commanders, Packers, the Falcons, the Vikings, the Bucks, the Texans, and then the Chargers and the Raiders. So this is just the main DFS slate. So the 1 o'clock, 4 o'clock games. And first on our list is hopefully in a banger, between the Jacksonville Jaguars and Cincinnati Bengals. A lot of great guys on both ends. What? Give me your thoughts here. What are we thinking?
Well, it's kind of hard to say on both of these teams. I mean, Jacksonville basically had 2 halftimes within like 15 minutes of each other with the lightning delay. And they were pretty much blowing out the Panthers before that delay, and they looked pretty strong on offense. And then they just kind of stopped caring the rest of the game. So we didn't get the best sample size to work off of. But what we did get was Travis Hunter had more targets than Brian Thomas Jr. in week 1. He, was okay on them. He didn't look amazing, but he also didn't look terrible. He made a few people miss, and he got a few chunk plays. So I think the biggest thing for me for Jacksonville is Tank Bigsby is gone. And that, for me, clears up that running back room a lot, especially in weekly DFS. I think Travis Etienne is a smash at his price of $5,700. I think if we extrapolate the idea that the Bengals defense is still bad, which, again, kind of hard to tell in one game, but it seemed to hold the Browns back relatively so, but it was also the Browns. But I mean, I'm willing to stack up all these pieces again and see if they hurt me again, or see if we can actually strike gold this time.
Oh, ain't that just the truth? Trevor Lawrence, wildly inaccurate in week 1. Again, with the lightning delay, who really knows what was going on there? It's also just warming up, getting used to the real game speed again. It just shocks me. Brian Thomas Jr. just having just the 1 catch on 7 targets. I don't think we ever see that again. I think that's just a wild outlier. Just toss in the trash. Just like he barely saved his fantasy day with a rushing touchdown. I think this is just the worst. It's just, again, too many things going on. Travis Etienne, he had 140 yards on the ground. Like that, come on.
Most of it on 1 rush.
just absolutely crazy. A lot of just outlier after outlier nonsense in this game.
Yep.
I think we can kind of toss most of it out. But the Bengals, is there any concern there? Was it, again, just a freak, just week 1? Everyone's just cold.
I mean, the last few years for Cincinnati, they've just been very slow to start, and they played all of their starters in preseason week 3 to supposedly combat that, and then they came out slow anyways. I mean, Jamar Chase had 25 receiving yards, something like that. T. Higgins wasn't much better. Chase Brown was not only mediocre, but also lost all passing down work to Samaje Perine. And Mike Gesicki kind of got vultured by Noah Fant and possibly even surpassed by Noah Fant. So I personally don't think Jamar Chase is ever a bad play. He's just too talented to ever be a bad play. And I don't think Jacksonville's defense is necessarily great. So I'm willing to try it again, similar to the Jaguars. Like, I'm willing to try the double stack with Higgins, Chase, and Burrow. it's a little bit cheaper this week, so it could be relatively low owned compared to the Fields, but I wouldn't blame you for just staying away and waiting for them to prove it either.
That is a really great point that a lot of players might just be, a little hands off from such a weird week one. Like, I don't know if it's worth it. 8,100 for Bryan Chase. That is, the highest receiver in the whole slate.
Yep.
Isn't it worth it? So, yeah, play wise, I think, I don't know if it's too big brain, too overthinking, but hey, like you said, no, Chase is always available for the crazy 3 touchdown game. So I agree with you there. All right. Next up, we have the New York Football Giants against the Dallas Cowboys. I am worried about this game because I don't know what to expect from the Giants outside of just probably mediocre play. And then with the Cowboys, how much of the game against the Eagles was real?
Yeah. I don't think you can play anyone on the Giants this week. Malik Neighbors is still kind of fighting injury as he has been all off season. And I don't know if Russ can really target him and hit him on those targets at the rate that we would really want for the price point that you're paying. That could easily come back to bite me because he is that talented, but I am kind of inclined to think that Dallas is going to blow them out. And despite Javonte looking good-ish last week, I kind of don't believe it. He really wasn't that explosive or shifty or anything that you want out of a running back. He just lucked into 2 goal line touchdowns for the most part. Shoot, Miles Sanders had a better run than Javonte had. I really like Dallas this week. Again, I really like stacking Dak with CD, Pickens. I think Ferguson is a good play at 3,800. I don't really see how the Giants can stay in this game unless Neighbors just absolutely goes scorched earth.
For sure. And it's strange. Neighbors still was relevant last week despite just awful, like the whole team just looked bad. Yeah. And I think unfortunately it does stem from Russ Wilson just being also bad, just washed. Just this, he looked not great with the Steelers, so it's always a little shocking that the Giants were like, that's our guy.
Yep.
Get him in here. No, I agree as well with the Javonte Williams point. The main note I had about him was that he just looked strong, and that was it. And nothing really else exciting about him as a running back prospect. He just kind of ran through Eagles defense that didn't have Jalen Carter.
Yeah. Yeah. I will say the Cowboys line looked better than I thought they'd be. But as you just mentioned, is that because Jalen Carter didn't play the game, or is it a little bit of both, or are they just actually good and their running game's going to be fine this year because they can kind of just drag their running backs along with them?
It feels like that's kind of the Cowboys' formula for the past couple of years.
Yeah.
Obviously Zeke was wildly talented when they had that awesome O-line, but it always kind of feels like that O-line does a lot of the work, and then running back finishes the job.
Yep.
So kind of good for fantasy wise if we eventually. I don't know if Miles Sanders is ever going to beat out Javonte Williams, but for a second there we thought so until he fumbled the next play.
Yep.
So hey, maybe one week we won't have Jaden Blue just randomly inactive before the game starts.
Yep. Obviously don't play him, but keep your eyes out. He will eventually not be a healthy scratch, and he's got the explosiveness and the speed that no one else in that backfield does besides Kevontae Turpin. So
yeah, I was shocked to see the amount of touches he got from just manufactured touches. Yeah. I guess that's all they need, right? They just need someone to be fast.
Yeah. And I think those will eventually be Blues touches when they feel he's ready.
Here's the hoping, because I know his Texas tape is pretty fun to watch. And again, surprised that they're not even giving him a chance. We'll see. The last note I want to make: the Tyrone Tracy Cam Scatterbo combination.
Yep.
Generally pretty bad for fantasy, but I had to double check. Tyrone Tracy just completely outsnapped Cam Scatterbo by, I think, about $1 million. It was 50-8,
Yep.
and I don't really believe that will stick because Tyrone Tracy was not effective in the least bit.
It's difficult because on the one hand, like that was probably because they were trailing from like the get-go, and they most likely see Tracy as their better passing down back. But also, are they ever not going to be trailing from the get-go?
It's a tough spot.
Yeah, and like he played the whole game and they scored what, 3 points? Like he obviously did not help their offense basically at all. So will that continue? I don't know how much, Brian Dable's going to put up with that. Like he supposedly loves Cam Scatterbo. He's a coach's dream at running back. He actually is a good pass catcher. He's just slow. But I mean, he ran people over in week 1. He had some violent pass protection reps. So I would not be surprised if one week we turn around and suddenly those snaps have just completely swapped places after the fact.
And man, I'm hoping that it does, because I don't care if he's slow. That dude just plays hard. And yeah, that pass pro rep where he just, I don't know if he decleared the guy, but it felt pretty dang close.
Yeah.
And honestly, the fact that Cam Scatterbo can do everything, and yet they're kind of assuming that Tyrone Tracy is still better. They've seen him more than we have, so I guess we should really, not we, I should take a step back, because I do, Cam Scatterbo is just more exciting to me. So yeah, we'll give it time. It's only week 2, so we'll see. We can only hope. All right, hot off a devastating Monday night game, the Chicago Bears now have to face the Detroit Lions, and just to find some way to bounce back from just the absolute, I don't want to say embarrassment, that seems too hard, but it was not a great look on prime time. I'm a little lower on the Bears. Where are you at with Caleb Williams and gang?
It's tough. I thought Caleb looked fantastic in the first half. I was very quickly starting to shed my doubts, and then he just kind of reverted to rookie year Caleb in the second half. And I'm going to be honest, like there's no real piece of this offense that's just like an obvious play in any given week. They dislike DeAndre Swift so much that they'll give DJ Moore carries, multiple, but also
that was insane. I will say that was crazy.
But they also don't like DJ Moore enough to hyper target him as a receiver. They're like kind of checking off their box for touches. It's like, oh, he's going to get a couple rushes every game. And it's like, for fantasy, like, yuck. I mean, if he breaks one, great, but he's getting like actual halfback carries lined up behind Caleb, like 10 yards behind him. Like, it's bizarre to watch. I like Rome as like a red zone target, can win deep middle of the field, deep outside routes. How often is that going to be there for a team that I don't think can run the football? I think that's kind of my main problem. Is just they're never going to really threaten anyone on the ground unless Swift just happens to break a run. But when you can't run the ball, like you saw it with the Cowboys last week, like they couldn't really run the ball. They just accidentally scored a couple rushing touchdowns, and everything was just deep shots to CD in double coverage, or deep shots to Pickens in double coverage, or check downs underneath to Ferguson. Like, I think it's kind of similar in Chicago. It's just they have a non-concentrated offense, so it's even worse for fantasy because there's like 8 guys that this ball could be going to.
It's tough when you have a discussion at the beginning of the season, and you go, "Wow, I'm so excited for the Chicago Bears. They got Swift, they got Moore, they got Dunze, they got Colson Loveland. Hey, Cole Kmet can do something." And then you realize you have listed multiple people you're excited about,
Yep.
and you kind of have to think about it and be like, "Well, not everyone can have 10 catches for 100 yards and 2 touchdowns, right? Like that's not how football works."
Yep.
And to your point about DeAndre Swift and them running the ball, there was just there was 2 runs, 2 specific runs from DeAndre Swift that I thought, wow, that was good. That sounds great. But I'm pretty sure he ran the ball like 15 times, like 19 times.
Yep.
2 runs being exciting after that many attempts is not a great look. And I I'm so sad they didn't run Manungai. The dude is just so much better on the inside than Swift is, and
Yeah.
it broke my heart. And I'll be honest, I had a couple bucks on the Manungai touchdown because
Yeah.
who knows, right? I kind of thought they'd get close in the red zone. I was wrong. They got I think they got actually in the red zone like once,
Yeah.
and then Caleb scrambled in. So
Yeah.
uh,
And
I sorry, go ahead.
I mean, Ben Johnson came out after the game and said they need to get Manungai more touches, and will that help them? I don't know. I mean, he's not like the strongest prospect in the world, but he seems to have the job over Roshan, regardless of if Roshan was healthy or not. So he's definitely worth keeping an eye on, but he is probably just Timu Jordan Mason at this point.
And quite frankly, what does that say about Roshan Johnson at this point in his career? That is so tough. That's a bad break. When I know a lot of conversations were like, "Oh, he was only behind Bijan Robinson. Like, he's gonna be fine. He's gonna be whatever." And yeah, no, that he has not come through at all. And it's tough for the Bears to do like anything on the ground when Aiden Hutchinson's across the field. So
Yeah.
Detroit, everyone looks exciting because the Bears defense kind of looks gas, and I think that's gonna happen again.
Yeah. I'm scared about the Lions, man. They looked putrid on offense last week.
Like lost, just
Yeah.
completely identify or no identity. There we go.
Like Jared Goff looked like old Jared Goff. And old Jared Goff is not who you want running your team. So I I think Jahmyr Gibbs is always a good play. He's just one of those guys that can get there even if the offense does not. Um, I thought Amon Ra was going to be somewhat resistant to any regression in offense, but he was not in week 1. It was not good for any of the pass catchers, really. They just got absolutely shut down by the Packers defense. And now we get to play the fun game of, is the Packers defense really that good, or is the Lions offense actually that bad, or is it a little bit of both? So it's kind of risky for me this week.
And I didn't love the the lack of work really from some of the guys that I thought we were going to see a lot of.
Yeah.
Jameson Williams didn't really get going. I think he's just purely like a really big tournament play at this point. 5,700 seems fine, but you know, Jahmyr Gibbs had 10 catches.
Yeah.
10 catches for 30 yards. Now that is totally reminiscent of Alec Kamara. I'm not sure if it was last year or 2 years ago, where again, just like only a PPR scam artist, just like no
Yep.
yards, just catch the ball, fall down.
Yep.
It is. I'm with you. There's a lot of worry here, and if Isaac Tesla ends up being the one that catches the touchdown again,
Yeah.
we're in trouble. I mean,
Like,
it's exciting for Tesla, but
yeah, but I mean, like Sam Laporta, like, is not the only red zone target in town anymore. Like, his value is very low, and he's still getting priced as a top 3 tight end on the slate.
yeah,
Like,
4,800. Yep.
I don't want to pay that.
It's really tough spot, especially if you believe in Sam Laporta. I
Yeah.
think at this point he ended up being more of not a like only red zone reliant type of target. We saw a couple of times last year we had some deep shots, but his rookie year he was really TD heavy. Last year didn't really get going until the second half of the season, so we might be in store for that again.
Yeah.
Next up, the Los Angeles Rams with Matt Stafford's. Oh my gosh, I totally forget the thing. The big old metal tube. And the Tennessee Titans. Stafford and company, they look pretty good week one against a pretty solid Texans defense. Anyone that you're worried about in terms of pricing, or we're just slamming most guys here?
I would take pretty much everyone outside of their like really tertiary pieces. I think Stafford is pretty well priced at 5,800. I think Kyron is very well priced at 6,300. Puka's still not the most expensive receiver, and I am starting to think that he might deserve to be. He left the game like 6 times last week, and he still just was one of the top receivers on the week. Like every time he was on the field, they just throw to him, like period. And I don't think Devontae Adams is going to give you 150 targets this year, but I think he's still their red zone passing threat, and he will still get his catches. And I don't think the Titans defense is going to put up much of a fight, to be honest. I would stay away from their tight end situation is kind of the only thing I'll say. Is it was not just Tyler Higbee, and in fact he did basically nothing. So I think stick with their core pieces, and I don't really see that likely of a world where Tennessee can actually like cut into their production that you're hoping for.
Couldn't agree more. And you don't think Terrence Ferguson dart throw, maybe one seam ball?
I love him, and I think he will win that job, but there's other cheap tight ends this week that I know are going to get targets and playing time that I would rather play at a similar price point. But in the future, I think we will be talking about him, just probably not this week.
Oh, I can't wait, because that dude should be a real weapon. But like you said, it takes time. And tight ends always kind of slow to gear up too. A lot to learn in the NFL system versus Oregon. Oregon's not really a Mickey Mouse organization, but sometimes feels like it.
Yeah.
Sadly, we do have another team on this game, the Titans. Do you like? So I'll put it this way: do you think we almost had a good game from Cam Ward if anybody caught the ball?
I think Cam Ward looked fine. Like truly, I think the Broncos defense is that good. I think they're the number one defense in football. I really do. And this is Cam Ward's first game. Like, it was never going to go well, and we kind of all expected that going in. I am somewhat interested this week. The Rams have a good defense, but it's not really the kind of defense where it's just like they're going to absolutely like tear a rookie apart. And I think, Tony Pollard is going to get basically all of the work again. And at 5,900, like, I honestly love stacking Pollard with Williams in the same lineup I think both teams may just try and run the crap out of the ball, especially on the Tennessee side. I also think Calvin Ridley at 4,900 is $1,000 underpriced. Like, I understand that he had a terrible week last week, but again, everyone did on that team. Like, there was no good plays for the Tennessee Titans, and Ridley is just a target earner. He's going to force the ball in most situations against most defenses, but he was up against Pat Surtain. He was shadowed, and frankly, the Titans don't have many great weapons outside of that, and they were not able to move the ball. And I don't think the Rams really have the same kind of defensive backfield to be able to shut down Ridley to the point where Ward is just kind of hapless. So I really like Ridley. I really like Pollard. I think Chig is a perfectly fine dart throw at tight end as well.
Yeah, I almost spit up my coffee when I saw Calvin Ridley was 4,900. That seems absurd,
Yeah.
and something I think totally worth utilizing on your slates. Like if you're looking looking like you're running out of funds, yeah, I mean Calvin Ridley is there to help you. It's much like there to help Cam Ward. He's here to help you win your DFS slate.
Yeah. He's going to get at least 25% of the targets, if not more. Like he just is. No one else is taking that from him.
Yeah, I should have looked up the stat beforehand, but I don't know how many targets like Tyler Lockett had, or how many times Van Jefferson's been on the field. So,
Yeah.
I wrote down Alec Iomanner. I like him, but he's gonna need some time still. It did look like he still needs a little bit more just experience in the NFL. The dude's already very young, and he played in not a very, you know, uh, college friendly, or he played at Stanford, so not playing like a lot of great competition there. So
Yeah.
45 snaps, he's on the field, he's involved, but I think we can wait one more week till we see something.
Yeah. I think he is their wide receiver too, though. So like I think waiting is probably prudent, but in like the Millie Maker, I think he's worth putting in. He's going to be low owned. He's cheap. He's has upside. So in smaller contests, I don't think you need to get that fancy, but he's definitely worth a large field click for me.
Love that. Absolutely love having these like 3,200 type of dart throws, right?
Yeah.
Alrighty, now it's my boys in blue, the New England Patriots versus the uh, I don't want to say hapless just yet, but man, the Miami Red Flag Dolphins. It looks pretty not good, as they say in the biz for Miami. But New England started fine, ended worse. Do we believe in Henderson still? Do we think that split between him and Ramondre Stevenson is scary? Where are we at with this offense here?
I think the split will still be there for now, but I think Henderson is the type of talent level that he's totally fine playing at 5,500 anyways. He has the speed and explosiveness and the ability to break off long runs where he could get, 10 touches and he could still give you 25 to 30 points. So I'm totally fine and probably targeting him in this game, to be honest, against that Miami defense. I think Drake May is still criminally underpriced at 5,200. He's a Konami code quarterback. Like I don't understand why folks won't accept that, but he runs the ball a lot. He scrambles a lot, and they're trying to get him more designed runs this year. Like I think their game plan just kind of didn't work in week one, and they will have to go back to the drawing board a bit. But May does everything that you want out of a fantasy quarterback. He runs the ball and he has a cannon arm and can hit an 80-yard bomb. Like he's basically just Josh Allen, but a lower version of him. He's obviously not nearly as good of a quarterback, but from fantasy, he could be. I think this is the perfect defense to find out against.
I think for those who didn't watch the game, it was very obvious that somebody in his ear, Josh McDaniels, said, "Hey, we're gonna try to not scramble this game," because there was a lot of plays. He was staring at the line of scrimmage, nothing in front of him, could have taken 5 or 6 yards, but decided to throw the ball. Not sure if that was just to see kind of like limit testing. We're trying to figure out the offense. We're trying to figure out, where we're at. What do we need to do here? So I completely agree with you. I heard him being kind of called Justin Herbert light a little bit. They're all kind of in that same tier of, we scramble a lot, but Allen's clearly the best. Like Herbert just is kind of, getting into that now, and
Yeah.
Drake May definitely does that a lot. And I do think we'll see a lot more runs. They had a they had a speed option at one point in the game between May and Henderson, and that was awesome because if that happens again, I think we're going to see a lot of success between those two. But
Yep.
pass catchers, Diggs, it shocked me when I looked at the stat line. He actually did have like 5 or 6 catches.
Yep.
Didn't feel like it in the game. Keyshawn Booty, the I don't even know what to even call him. I don't know if it's just a surprise, if this is just someone we always knew he would come through, right? The 6th round draft pick
Oh yeah.
from LSU.
I need to see it one more week from Booty. Where was this last year? Like, I can accept that, he's a 3rd-year player now. He still has the opportunity to grow and improve. And this is a new coaching staff. Again, I think this is his 3rd new coaching staff in 3 years. So I'm willing to think about it. If I get done building a lineup and I have a flex spot in exactly 4,500, I will definitely consider him and might go with him in that case. But I don't want to go out of my way to target him just yet. I would rather see it, consistently built upon, even if it's not the same results, but same route percentages, same target share, or similar target share. That's more of what I'm looking for out of him before I'm willing to like truly pull the trigger.
It feels weird to say 4,500 is almost expensive.
Yeah.
But it does feel that way when there's a lot of other players. Well, the players in this area aren't as exciting, but you do kind of want to. If you have 4,500 left, I feel like you can spend up on more like surefire things.
Yeah.
Hunter Henry, he's just 4,000.
Totally fine.
Yeah,
like there's cheaper options that I like better, and there's more expensive options I like better. But if you have exactly 4,000 left for a tight end spot, I think he's a really solid play. He has a nice target floor. He has touchdown upside. He just will never, ever, ever break a big play. And sometimes that's fine out of tight end.
Yeah, and sometimes that's it never hurts to have a floor. It'd be like, all right, it's not going to be a 0. Like, I guess for what it's worth. So.
Yep.
I don't want to talk about Miami, and we have to, unfortunately, because there is a couple things going on here. But man, was it all a nightmare week 1?
I don't think so. I unfortunately think it was real, and I unfortunately think it's not going to get much better. Their offense might to some degree, but their defense is horrific. Like, could be beat by Alabama.
That Alabama team is bad.
Yeah, like let's say this out loud. They did not force a punt out of a Daniel Jones-led offense. Daniel Jones.
I don't know if you're allowed to say that. That's explicit.
Like, they scored on every possession in that game. They did not punt ever. And once again, Daniel Jones.
Danny, New York Giants dimes.
Yeah.
Indiana Jones, sorry.
And John, that's the craziest part, was that like none of the Colts players even really were that fantastic. Like, Pittman was really good, and Daniel Jones rushed a couple touchdowns in, but like Jonathan Taylor didn't run for 200 or anything like that, or Alec Pierce didn't break a couple 80-yard bombs. Like, they just basically played a practice offense run every time down the field and just tore them apart, and it looked easy. And it should never look easy for Daniel Jones, because it's not. As you can tell, I don't believe in Daniel Jones.
I am in love with the it shouldn't look easy for Daniel Jones, because you're absolutely right. Because every time they pan to his face, it's him just distraught. Even if they're winning, he's just like, I think I'm in the wrong spot. I don't know. They'll find out I'm fake. Oh my gosh.
Like, he was just like, why am I not punting? How am I scoring?
Can we do this?
Yeah.
Don't we normally have 4 downs? We only need 3. Interesting.
Yeah.
This is kind of cool. This is neat.
Yeah.
It was a bummer to see Jonathan Taylor get vultured a couple times, but
yeah,
it's what it is. I'm, going forward, I think you'll probably be fine. But I'm with you. Yeah, whatever. We're not talking about the Colts right now, but for Miami, is there anything to be said about the defense being so bad that Achan can actually be a real thing?
I mean, he still was getting targets. He got carries when they were semi in the game for the first 3 drives. He would have had a much worse day if he didn't accidentally score on 4th and 11 screen, but that's also what he can do. So there's something to be said about his talent level is still good enough that he's probably a fine play. I just, at 6,900, like, there are a lot of other running back plays that are similar or cheaper that I would feel more comfortable about the offensive environment of. We talked about Kyren Williams already, and he's only 6,300. Like, I would much rather play Kyren this week. I know they're going to score points, and that gives Kyren the chance to score with them. Will the Dolphins score a point? They should, but it just all looks dysfunctional right now. I am not touching Waddle with a 10-foot pole. He got injured again. He always gets injured. He misses 25% of basically every game. Tyreek Hill is already checked out and I think is in legal trouble again, or is having like a sit down with the NFL currently for more like domestic abuse.
Yeah, I saw that as well.
Like, I have no interest. I know Malik Washington is a fun name, but like, do we really want to play the wide receiver 3 on a team that might score 8 points again?
Well, soon to be wide receiver 2, so I don't
Yeah.
Does Darren Waller exist? Just like as a person, has he been seen the past week and a half?
Darren Waller, the rapper. I mean, he wasn't good when he retired. Like, he hasn't been good since he was a Raider, really. And like, he was an okay bet to make if the Dolphins turned back into the Dolphins, but they are not. So to me, he's just not even in the conversation, regardless of health.
Yeah, I think we can close the book on this Dolphins offense for sure.
Yep.
Another offense I'm not super stoked about, but I think everyone else in Fantasy Now Plus is. It's the San Francisco 49ers facing off against the New Orleans Saints. The 49ers led by Mac Jones because Brock Purdy has a turf toe variant, which I didn't realize was a medical term, but
yeah.
Yeah. So San Francisco Christian McCaffrey's. Is there more to this?
Pretty much. Please play him. You should have played him last week. I did, but I don't really want to call that like my best play of the week because that was relatively obvious. Like, he somehow only went up $100 despite getting, I don't know, what was it, 25, 30-ish touches. He might get more this week. They don't have George Kittle for any portion of the game now. Jawan Jennings missed practice today, so they might not even have him. Like, it is legitimately just Christian McCaffrey, Ricky Pearsall, and that's it.
I think anyone they pull off the street, Kendrick Bourne truly was just pulled off the street to come be their wide receiver 2.
And at 3,500, like, I don't think that's going to work, but some people might say to play him, and I would say God be with you.
I mean, you say that, but can you be Jake Tongs?
Just no.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't really. Is MVS still healthy? I think that's the other last guy that's on this team. That
I thought he was on the practice squad, but maybe they.
Oh, I think you're absolutely.
They might call him up for the game. Like, they might not have a choice because Demarcus Robinson's still suspended. So,
Yep.
and Cowing is still injured, and the rookie they
Oh,
drafted
Russell
this year.
Gage is on this team? No.
Yeah, apparently.
Yeah. He's
Like,
getting a paycheck from the 49ers, I guess.
yeah, this is basically just like the old Baltimore Ravens running back rooms. I'm just like, oh, that guy, he's
Oh,
still
no
around.
way. Devonta Freeman?
Yeah.
Nice, dude. Proud of you.
Yeah.
Yeah, anything else on this team? I'm good.
I think Mac Jones is fine. At 4,000, like
I will say,
minimum.
yeah, that's the very lowest you can be.
Yeah.
It's pretty nice for a starting QB, but
And like, it's the reason that I'm okay with it is it's against the Saints. If this was going to be a competitive game at all, or like against a defense that's not like bottom 5, I would have no interest whatsoever in Mac Jones. But I don't think the Saints are really equipped to cause turnovers or get stops that often. So I think Mac Jones is fine. He's going to throw the ball to CMC a lot, and he's going to throw the ball to Ricky Pearsall a lot. And he's probably more of a cash game play than an actual tournament. But if you want to get fancy in a large field, you can. Again, there are other quarterback plays that are within 2,000 that are much better. So I don't blame you for saying it's Mac Jones, but he is the stone minimum for quarterbacks. So it is at least something to consider.
it's always, I guess, a positive to say I'm saving so much money on a starting QB that is attached to Christian McCaffrey because things can happen. But like you said, there's a quarterback we'll talk about in just a minute that I'm much more excited about, who is only 1,700 more. But we do have to talk about the Saints. Legally obligated to mention the New Orleans Saints. Spencer Rattler, Alec Mara, Chris Olave, Juwan Johnson. There's some plays here. If you like, I should take it back. This team's way better for just a normal redraft league than it is to try to win money.
Yeah. I mean, Kamara is Kamara. He's always going to get the workload, at least to start. I will say that they played Kendre Miller and Devin Neal a lot more than I would hope for week 1. They didn't do much with their touches, but they did get more touches than you might think. I think Kamara's still a fine play. I don't think he has a multi-touchdown week in his bag anymore, but he can still get you 8 receptions for 60 yards and 12 carries for 40 yards. And if he gets in the end zone, then you've got yourself a top 6 to 8 running back on the week. So he can get there, but it's not going to be fun to watch. I would just avoid watching that game and hope for points at the end.
And that's the magic of DK being a point per reception format.
Yeah.
Kamara ends up being more relevant than we may want, or more. It surprises you how much it ends up being like, oh, obviously he's a top 10 guy.
Yep.
Except he's not really priced like. Well, he's kind of priced like that, 6,100.
Yeah.
Olave had way more targets and catches than I thought, and I thought he was down again to start the season off, but he's 4,900. That seems egregiously low for a game that they're definitely going to be behind in.
I am not a Chris Olave believer, so this is going to be biased. But our account on Blue Sky has posted this before. I've done this research. He has never been a top 5 wide receiver in points in a week ever in his career. His highest is 6th in his second career game. 3-4 years ago? I don't even remember now. And that was with an actually okay quarterback. This is Spencer Rattler, who barely beat out Tyler Shuck. Last week, they basically just did short passes the whole game and were able to score a few touchdowns out of it because Cardinals were more than happy to just let him dink and dunk the whole time and just rush 4 and wait. And, he will have a target floor, but he has absolutely no ceiling. He is not going to get there ever. with Spencer Rattler. So he's probably a good play in cash again. He's probably better.
That's what happened to you. We'll talk about the Saints. You just lose brain cells.
I lose cognitive abilities. He's better in like small tournaments where, it's okay to have a few floor plays, but he's not going to win you a lot of money. He's just not.
Yeah. No. I'm good. I'm good with the Saints. Juwan Johnson, he's gonna get a bunch of catches, but same thing, just a floor.
Yep.
We may have to speed up a little bit. I'm looking at the clock, but hey, that's all right. All right, we'll talk about this game a little bit more because this is very exciting. I called it. It actually might be explosive. This is Buffalo at versus New York Jets. So we got obviously Josh Allen, James Cook, Keon Coleman, the big surprise, at least in my mind.
Yeah.
Versus Justin Fields, Breece Hall. This might be something.
I hope so. I don't know what to make of the Jets because I think most people thought that the Jets and Steelers last week was going to be just an absolute slog, and it was the second highest scoring game of the week behind the Ravens and Bills. So on paper, it seems like this could be another high scoring game, but I don't know. I think Josh Allen is a good play at 7,100. I am never really enthused to play James Cook. He just comes off the field too much for me, but I see the vision. I don't think he's a bad play. He's not my cup of tea. I love Keon Coleman. I don't know if he'll be considered chalk, but I think he should be. He truly looks like he took a step forward, possibly 2 steps forward. And if he becomes Josh Allen's like actual number 1 receiver, like as long as he's anything under 7,000, like he's going to be a steal. So I think you play him again this week. If he doesn't show it, then, maybe it was just luck or maybe he's got it, but it's not going to be consistent. But at 5,100, I'm willing to take the bet that he just does it again.
Yeah, I think Keon Coleman is kind of becoming who we thought he would be when they took him at 33. So effectively a first round pick, but first pick in the second round. I think his ascension over Khalil Shakir as like their main threat is exactly what the Bills need. I think Khalil Shakir is a good player. I don't think he should be, priced higher than Keon Coleman though.
No, he has no touchdown upside. He's fancy Wan'Dale Robinson, and that's fine. That's a good player in the NFL, but he's not going to break your slate. Keon Coleman could break your slate. He could give you 30 at 5,100.
Dalton Kincaid, do we believe in him yet?
I will never believe in Dalton Kincaid.
Fair enough.
At 3,700, he's not a terrible click in a good offense, but I will personally never click him.
Yeah, the four catches in a game where they scored 40 points, that is a bad sign for your top receiving tight end.
Yeah.
Speaking of receiving tight ends, Mason Taylor is 2,900. He got 1 ball. I'm surprised he's not lower. I don't really think he's relevant on this offense.
Yeah, I mean, rookies always kind of have that speculative tax of just like, well, what if he's good? So I see it, but yeah, there's someone in a very similar range with a very much better prospects that I will be taking every time over Taylor. So again, maybe in the Millie Maker if you want to get real fancy, but it's not going to be a fun sweat.
Yeah, I think you pick Mason Taylor if you want to spend up on defense, truly. Like,
pretty much.
New York Jets tight end Mason Taylor. Yeah. The rest of the offense, Justin Fields. I think at 5,700, this is once again absurd. I feel like if he does what he did against the Steelers, I think he's going to once again be a huge boon for you.
Yeah.
Breece Hall 6,200. He's back. I think
he got most of the work kind of it's almost like the coaching staff was lying all off season. Like, wow, who could have predicted that an NFL team wouldn't like say what their actual plan is outright for the last 3 months? Like, shocker. Like, yeah, Braylon Allen got a few carries and might get some goal line work, but Breece Hall just looked like Breece Hall.
And we're all thankful for that as fantasy players because
yeah.
we got such a discount on Breece Hall. If you drafted him, if you felt bold enough at the time to take someone who thought, oh, he's going to get traded. It's not his team. It's not his coaching staff. Yeah, we have egg in our face. So
he's still cheap. I mean, he's 6,200. Like, that's less than Kyron. Like, that's affordable. I'm happy to play him again. Like, the Bills obviously cannot stop running backs, as we saw last week.
Yeah, Bills defense does not look good. And I think this Jets team, all right, I'm not going to say that they're good, but their offense looks like they can score points. And I'm happy for that for DFS. Yeah. And last thing, Garrett Wilson, just the dude who we always thought he was, just
smash.
Yeah.
6,500, 30% target share probably every week. Like, Justin Fields is not a potato. Like, just play him as long as Justin Fields continues to not be a potato.
It is a tale as old as time.
Yep.
All right, moving on. Seattle versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. Ken Walker, Zach Charbonnet. This is the one that has everyone scratching their heads. What are we doing?
I honestly think we could skip this game entirely, but we
don't mind if we do.
Legitimately, like, I am not touching anyone but JSN with a 10-foot pole. Like, legitimately, I have no interest in anyone else in this game. The Seahawks have a two-headed running back committee where neither of them really have skills that the other doesn't, outside of Walker is fast but can't stay healthy, and Charbonnet is bigger but can't break plays. Both of their plays are now touchdown driven, and I don't think this offense scores a lot of touchdowns with Sam Darnold as quarterback. Cooper Kupp ran a ton of routes and did absolutely nothing with it. JSN had like a 75% target share. I forget what it was.
Something truly insane.
Yeah, like, he's fine. He's going to get it at 6,000. That is way too cheap still, I think.
Yep.
And on the Pittsburgh side, like, yes, it worked against the Jets, but should it have? I would like to say no. I mean, Kenneth Gainwell had like 10 carries. Ben Skoranek scored a touchdown. Like, it's just gross. Like, if you want to play an unstacked Aaron Rodgers, then like, I guess, but I also think the Seahawks defense is really good, and I don't really want to play a 41-year-old immobile quarterback against a really good defense that has 0.5 weapons in DK Metcalf.
That's exactly where I'm at with this game in general. I think the Seattle defense is too strong. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers receiving core is just like a nightmare to try to figure out. Looking at the box score, I know I'm box score hunting, but it's no. I don't want to have to gamble on the 2 Calvin Austin catches, right?
Trust me, it was just as bad to watch.
Caleb Johnson, rest in peace. Just getting Arthur Smith out of the gate. Nothing you can do.
That backfield is just a giant red X. Just 3-headed monster of no one that's particularly talented. Like, no, thank you.
Yeah, let's get out of here. I don't want to linger on. Cleveland Browns, Baltimore Ravens. We got another AFC North matchup here. The Browns are hilariously underpriced, or I should say all low priced. I call them underpriced because they actually did kind of do something last week. And then the Ravens just chalk across the board if you want it to be, outside of Bateman and Andrews.
Yeah. For me, the big question is, can the Browns offense push Baltimore? Everything they did last week was against a really bad Bengals defense, and they still only put up 16 points, I believe. Like, it was fine, but it wasn't good. But Joe Flacco dropped back to pass like 50 something times. So everyone kind of got there on volume, but no one actually really was that spectacular. I will say, I think Harold Fannin is the truth. I really do. He is a must play this week at 3,100. I don't think this is the Isaiah Likely situation from last year. He is their slot receiver. He was on the field for, I want to say, 4 less snaps than David Njoku. And both of them were on the field for far more than half of their possessions. Njoku played in line pretty much all the time, and Fannin basically never played in line except for a couple like fullback snaps. And he got a wildcat rush. He is obviously in the game plan. He is $3,100. If it doesn't work, you only spent $3,100. If it does work, you just got 15 to 18 points at tight end for $3,100.
Basically for free at that price. And
literally, yeah.
When you think about just how this game's gonna go in the game trip, I don't see a world where Cleveland has where Cleveland is now playing from ahead, right? They're going to need, again, Joe Flacco slaying that thing 40 times, 50 times, and Fannin's target share. I think he had 9 targets, 8 catches, 9 targets.
Led the team.
Yeah, give me all of that. You know, the worst thing, I should say, the biggest trick played on all of us fantasy football drafters was Harold Fannin's pretty mediocre combine day. Tricked us into thinking he's not as athletic as he is. The dude can play, and I think we're going to slowly figure that out.
Yep, I think Cedric Tillman can play. I like him more than Jerry Jeudy, just straight up. He has out targeted Jerry Jeudy 3 of the last 4 games that they've been on the field together. He just seems to be a better receiver to me. He wins more in the way that you want him to win. He's a bigger end zone target. I think Flacco is kind of somewhat set his pecking order. He's obviously going to dink and dunk, and that's pretty much going to always be Fannin or Sampson. And if he doesn't have to dink or dunk, he will look for Tillman deep, unless he sees Jeudy open in the middle of the field. But he wasn't getting open in the middle of the field as much. And I don't think he will against the Ravens either.
Yeah, the Ravens defense isn't, despite what the score may tell you, the Ravens defense is no pushover. You know, they did control the majority of that game until Josh Allen just went Super Saiyan.
Yep.
And between Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, you know, if they can, they'll allow it, they'll just keep running the ball. And at any moment, you know, Derrick Henry will just rip off the 60-yarder. So I do think both those plays are pretty exciting. Zay Flowers, do we want to believe this? I kind of want to say yes.
I am torn on Ravens pass catchers. Like Mark Andrews had another god awful week 1. Like, it wasn't a goose, but it was basically a goose. Like, and Zay Flowers was amazing. And is that just going to come back to the median this week and they're both fine? Is Flowers truly here for real? Is he matchup proof? I don't know if he is. This could be a game where the Ravens just kind of blow the cover off and they're up 21-0 halfway through the second. And if Flowers doesn't have 5 receptions already, like, you might just be left high and dry. But he also might not. He might just be the guy now. So at 6,200, I think he'll probably be pretty popular, I would guess. Just, you know, that's kind of just how it goes. Is you were great last week. Let's see if you do it again. I will play him, but he will not be a large part of my lineups. He will be kind of just intermittently added, I think.
Right, and chasing points is always a dangerous
Yeah.
blank game to play.
Yeah.
Almost completely blanked on the phrase. I think that's it. I think that those two teams. I think we can move on here. All right. How we feel about a quick lightning round of the next three games? Though I do want to take some time to talk about your Arizona Cardinals, but um, Denver against Indianapolis. Denver's most likely got to bounce back from that showing, right? Bo Nix looked pretty bad. I think he probably turns it around.
Probably, but I don't really want to play anyone on that side. It's still not concentrated. It's still just kind of Sean Payton being Sean Payton. Like, I think RJ Harvey should get the workload, but he's not going to. It's still probably going to be mostly Dobbins. And I think Cortland Sutton should get a majority of the targets, but he probably is not going to. It will probably be he'll have 6 and 4 other guys will have somewhere between 2 to 4. So I think Bo Nix is interesting to play unstacked, but he's risky, as he showed last week. Bad defenses can still wreak havoc against him. So
That's always been my concern with Bo Nix. For some reason, there's something about him. He can make the play, and yet it feels like he makes it a little harder than he needs to be.
yeah,
I think last week too, he definitely turned into what I call just a check down merchant, just for a moment. But
yeah.
hey, against Indy who might they're not going to score that many points. I got to take that back because this Denver defense, like we said, elite. Daniel Jones, does he pumpkin? You think he comes back screaming down to earth? And how do we feel about the pass catchers on the Colts side? Michael Pittman Jr. had a great game last week. Josh Downs really disappointed, but Tyler Warren came through. We feel good about playing any of these guys.
I feel good about Warren. I think he's the truth. Pittman is fine. He doesn't have game-breaking upside to me, but he proved last week that like he can get there on volume. So at 5,100, he's not too expensive for me to be out. But he'll be someone I just kind of mix in, but I'm not really like targeting as a main stay of this slate.
Yeah, I think that's a safe bet. And I don't know, Jonathan Taylor, feel good. 6,700.
Not really. He's getting vultured by Daniel Jones. He caught some passes, but still not really the target share that you might want. And again, Denver's defense is that good. So if he gets there, it's just going to be an absolute ton of carries and a couple lucky touchdowns. And that's not my favorite bet to make at 6,700. So I would probably go elsewhere.
I am right there with you. It seems just a little too much for just gambling.
Yeah.
But alrighty, I think we're good there. Carolina Panthers, Arizona Cardinals. I don't want to play any of the Panthers players. Maybe Juba.
I still like Tet McMillan. I think he's really good. I think the Panthers, more so than the Jaguars, were majorly affected by that lightning delay. They weren't looking particularly great beforehand, but they were abysmal after the fact. I think McMillan is talented enough that he can get there. And, Bryce will hyper target someone who gets open. So I think he's a good play. I think he's affordable. I just don't think you can go in thinking, wow, I'm going to get a week like I got from Emeka Ibuka last week.
Yeah, I think we saw a lot of good stuff. I do worry about just the game itself because the Arizona defense is not bad. I do kind of think they're at maybe top half. I would say.
Yeah, they're good. they're just not aggressive. Like as a team, they were very content to just be 7 points ahead of the Saints all game last week. I kind of wonder if that will happen again this week, which could be good for fantasy if they can't stop the Panthers, or it's going to be awful and it's going to be 14-7 the whole game. So, yeah, Cardinals.
Okay.
Yeah, I like Trey McBride. He's the most expensive tight end on the slate by 1,000. He's the only one of the elite three left. I think he will get there. I think he will continue to see the target share. You're just going to play touchdown chicken. Kyler's fine. He did rush more this week than we saw last year, but he has 2 targets, and it's Marvin Harrison Jr. and it's Trey McBride. So it's really just the question of who scores the touchdowns. And in a game where I don't think the Panthers push the Cardinals that hard, I'm a little hesitant to play anyone, but I can also see playing anyone because they all have paths to get there.
Yeah. And in this game, I'm really excited about James Conner. I'm not very excited about Marvin Harrison Jr. Because of just how they're going to how they react with each other, right? So I do think this is a Cardinals team that's going to pound the rock, and I don't think they really need Marv. I think you're kind of hoping for a big play, kind of like a like third down, catch them off guard type of play. So I would definitely, I definitely like just James Conner and McBride here. It's always fun to write down Michael Wilson because because you never really know, but he's technically the wide receiver too. He gets some volume in quotes.
Yep. Not this week.
Yeah, this is a good pass week. All right, last but not least, Philadelphia Eagles, Kansas City Chiefs, Super Bowl rematch. We got, the highly potent Philadelphia offense. Everyone, kind of maybe except for Devonta Smith, priced appropriately. KC, I don't even know. I don't know who you can trust there, but
yeah,
I guess you gotta play some. You don't have to play somebody. I take it back, especially when Kelsey could be taking out like a guy. Play one.
Yeah, I'm shocked this isn't a primetime game, first of all. The fact it's just an afternoon Sunday game is kind of wild to me. I don't know why. This is based on nothing, but I just feel really good about Devonta Smith this week. I think A.J. Brown is still banged up. And I would like to think that the Chiefs are going to probably attempt the same thing defensively that they did in the Super Bowl of just like make Jalen Hurts beat you, because Saquon definitely can. So let's stop him. And I think Trent McDuffie will probably be on A.J. Brown for most of the game, and I think that gives Devonta Smith a chance to just go off. I could be totally wrong, and it's A.J. Brown that goes off, and I could be wrong, and it's Saquon that goes off. I don't think any of them are bad plays, but I don't think you should be like stacking this game up either. There's a very high possibility it's ugly.
And I feel as though we just saw the Chargers beat the Chiefs in a way that allowed Justin Herbert to really run free.
Yeah.
I think Jalen Hurts is way stronger of a runner.
Yep.
And if that was their game plan, and say, hey, look, we're going to try to see if we can contain Jalen Hurts but stop Saquon, I think they're going to be in big trouble. Which kind of makes me really like the Jalen Hurts play.
Yeah, I think he's perfectly fine unstacked. I think you can stack him. I think you can play just him and Saquon, but I wouldn't take all their offensive pieces in one lineup because I don't think they're going to score like that, unless the Chiefs have really truly like regressed out of being Super Bowl contenders.
Yeah, I don't think they've fallen off that hard, but you never know. These are 2 tough games, and if the Chiefs start 0-2, we're gonna see some new stuff out of their offense, I think, just to find some spark.
Yeah, but I mean, can they? Like, they probably don't have Xavier Worthy this week, although he did practice today, so it's possible. But it's Hollywood Brown, who was awful except for one good play, but he was just the only guy that could get open at all. Like, they were down that game. They needed offense so badly, and they did not use Travis Kelce basically at all, and that is terrifying. The fact he's the second highest priced tight end on the slate is kind of egregious to me. I'm not touching him at all. I don't think they get him involved this early in the season.
For what it's worth, it helps us out to remove a tight end from our slate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not playing Juju Smith-Schuster. I'm sorry. You can't. I'm at the same time, I'm not playing John Dotson either. He's 3,600, but like,
Yeah.
I'm good. Yeah, I don't want any of the Chiefs running backs. I think that's just a quagmire of just sad.
It's a committee. Like, Pacheco is constantly getting subbed out for Kareem Hunt on third downs. Like, he's not going to get a workload this year, at least not to start. And he still didn't look particularly great when he got the ball. I think this is just going to be Patrick Mahomes is a hero all year, and that's how they win games.
And maybe at 6,200, that's what we need to start looking at. Maybe he does scramble more. He does more of his classic just shenanigans. And
yeah, he scrambled a lot in week one. He couldn't get open people, so he just ran it a lot.
Which is great for fantasy.
Yep.
Tough to watch as a Chiefs fan, but hey, yeah. That's not all of us. So, wow, we did it. We made it through. All right. Just quickly, favorite stacks this week.
Cowboys, Rams, and if you want to go cheap, I am willing to bet on the Browns.
And I got the Patriots, the Jets, and the Jags. I'm not scared off too much from Trevor Lawrence's bad week one. I do think again, Justin Fields could be great. So loving those teams there. Favorite fades who we don't like.
I'm fading the Dolphins, as you could probably tell, Broncos, and I am kind of scared off of the Eagles. I know we just talked a lot about their upside, but I do think the Chiefs still have a Super Bowl level defense, and I think someone from the Eagles is getting there, but I don't think everyone is.
Yeah, so it's going to be tough, and I think we saw that from week one as well.
Yep.
I'm fading the Dolphins as well. Just bad vibes all around, and the Bears. Too many things going on. I think they actually do have too many moving parts. Our favorite values, Tim.
Talked about it before. I think Mac Jones is the minimum 4,000 is a fine play. I love Dylan Sampson again this week at 5,200. I think he's going to get a lot of targets. If you want really gross, I think Kevontae Turpin at 3,600 is playable. He has a rushing floor, and they might have a trick play or two in the books, and he seems to be pretty high up on the totem pole of being on the receiving end of that. So again, I don't think you need to go him by any means, but I don't think it's a crazy play either. And then, as I said before, I think Harold Fannin needs to be chalk at 3,100. The target share is just too ridiculous to ignore.
And not for nothing, but the Kevontae Turpin play could be sneaky just from punt and kick return aspect. I believe they still count those touchdowns as touchdowns at this point. Yep. So keep that in mind. I really like Cedric Tillman, 4,300. Kayshon Boutte at 4,500. And then Justin Fields, 5,700. I do think, like I said earlier, Kayshon Boutte, while he does feel expensive, I think overall we might just come back and look at week 3 and be like, yeah, obviously, think that's a totally reasonable price to pay for another 100-yard game. All right, let's talk chalk. Who's your good chalk?
It's Christian McCaffrey.
Easy money.
San Francisco Christian McCaffrey's. He's going to get maybe 50% of all touches on the team this week. Like, He just, it's going to be hard for him to fail outside of injury. And I think he's still too cheap.
I think the price is going to drastically change after this week. So get him while you can now. I have JSN. I think that offense needs him. It's very obvious. 124 yards of the 150 that Sam Darnold threw. Yeah, I think that's just more in line of what we're going to see every week.
Yep.
All right, last but not least, players worth paying up for.
For me, it's aforementioned Christian McCaffrey. I also think Jahmyr Gibbs is a good play at 7,400. Just as we talked about, he can get there on one play. And at receiver, I think CeeDee Lamb has a very strong target share, and Dak seemed to just love throwing him the ball still. And similarly, I think Puka just has a very safe, very high target floor, and all you need at that point then is touchdown luck, and you are looking pretty.
No doubt. I have Derrick Henry, especially after this Grant Delpit comment.
Yeah.
I think Derrick Henry is going to unfortunately run him over early and often. So give me all that game. And then Josh Allen. We just saw it. He's just a cheat code. Give me that anytime I can get it.
Yep.
Wow. We did it. Another episode down of the Get Tilted podcast. Tim, thank you so much for hopping in. It's been such a pleasure chatting DFS with you. And honestly, in the future, hope to have you back again.
Absolutely. Happy to jump in anytime, and always enjoy talking DFS and trying to figure out how one of us might win $1 million. But it's going to be an interesting week, and I'm excited for it.
And we're going to get some really good football. I can feel it in my bones. A little less weirdness and a little more things we expected. So thank you so much for listening in today. Please subscribe, like, add, do whatever you need to do to make sure you get the next episode of Get Tilted in your queue. I've been Brian Rockwood. This has been Tim Holstad. Thank you so much, and we will see you again so very soon. Good night.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to like and subscribe wherever you watch or listen to podcasts. We'll be back next week for more ways to win your league.